Hello there. We're going to talk about mods. Skyrim SE. Return to Helgen first. Return to Helgen is currently under test. If it goes through the tests okay, it will be released for Skyrim SE again. Maybe, I can't remember if they allow that sort of thing up to Beth's site, but if it is, I'll upload it there. Same thing with Darklore Grimoire and Solstiem for Skyrim SE. Three of my best mods for them. Not my favourite mods, but three of my best mods. Now, Skyrim, the Return to Helgen for Skyrim SE is doing quite well. I've got through the Dark Brotherhood campaign. I'm actually about to start the final third of the mod, because the mod's actually broken into third. The first third supports the Civil War, both sides of the Civil War, and that's where you restore Helgen and then you do patrols. Second part is when you're doing the missions in between that and becoming Emperor, right, or up to the point where you kill the Emperor. And the third the third part is after the Emperor dies, as a result of the Dark Brotherhood campaign, because Helgen is interlinked with the main plot like that. It unlocks as you go through the game. Now, if you actually, played Helgen before, you'll know what I mean. But if you haven't, it's a really good mod. It supports mostly the Empire, but the first third supports both the Stormcloaks and the Empire. Anyway, Darklore Grimoire, I have used that heavily in Skyrim SE. I haven't had any problems yet, so that will get released. And then Solstiem, which contains the Mograton missions, a load of other stuff at the Mograton. You can even join the guard in the local communities and stuff like that. And you need skills. It's a skill-based mod. If you don't have the skills to join the Mograton, they will not let you join. You won't even get offered it. Same with the local guard. You can't even join them and do their missions unless you've got the skills they require. And all the skills they require are law-based. It's the things they say in law they're needed, probably taken from previous games. So yeah, if I remember rightly, the Dark Elves guards need what is it? I think it's heavy armour and one-handed weapons and illusion skill, I think. All over 25. Nothing extravagant, just over 25. And the reward system, I think, completely custom. But I'm getting ahead of myself. See, all of these systems I was quite proud of. I stopped modding just as I made them, and I consider it to be the pinnacle of the work I've done for Bethesda's mods. And the reason I did is because it addressed an issue that's always been boring, and that is the Radiant AI style missions. The random missions. The random missions are boring missions because they didn't have any feeling, and the mission roles were always really dry, and they didn't really do anything. Now, I did my first Radiant missions back in Oblivion with the Fighters Guild contracts. When Skyrim came along with the similar kind of things, it was basically the same thing I'd done really for Oblivion. But by the time they did it in Skyrim, I'd already exceeded that. My Fallout New Vegas mods, right, the NCR mod, had already blown away the Radiant AI before the Radiant AI was even a thing. Right, it was already light years better. And everybody that's played my NCR mod knows what I'm talking about. But even that was just the start of the idea that these random missions could be something much better. Now, the Skyrim ones were the pinnacle of it. I actually did a Fighters Guild mod, but for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, if you had a mod and the trigger box broke, or trigger boxes broke in it, as in just stopped working, you could never fix it. It would always break again, for no apparent reason. It was almost like the mod had become corrupted and it stopped these trigger boxes working. And I know that because I made a Civil War repair mod just to repair Whiterun after the Civil War. It worked for a bit, a couple of patches later it stopped working, and then it wouldn't get fixed. The fix would never work. And I could never understand why. And I could do these trigger boxes in my sleep. I used them heavily in all my mods. But I noticed once it broke, It would never get fixed. That mod was broken forever unless I found a way around it. Anyhow, that happened with the Fighters Guild mod, it happened with the Civil War Repair mod, and it happened with the Demon Hunters mod as well, which is a shame. They'll all work, well, except for the Civil War Repair mod, which you don't need because that's part of Helgen now. But I made a new one in Helgen because Helgen didn't break any. Well, it didn't break in Helgen. It worked. It's the same mod, exactly the same mod. I just the boxes I made to trigger things just worked and didn't get corrupted, so no problem. But all the rest of them do have problems. But anyhow, I did the Fighters Guild mod, which used a similar system to the Demon Hunter mod and the Solstiem mod, in that the loot, this is the pinnacle of the Radiant AI Start stuff I'm talking about. The loot was custom to the guild they were for. They were unique. For instance, I can't remember the name of those people that hunt Daedra, priests that hunt Daedra, but that's what the Demon Hunter was about. And it was all law based. Did a lot of research for it. All the rewards and stuff were law based. If you walked in there and you prayed at their temple, and you had any Daedric artifacts on you, it would take it off you and destroy them, because they didn't believe in that kind of stuff. So that was very law based. You could promotions. It wasn't just a case of you do endless missions and get paid random boring loot. You got specific loot that was worth having, promotions, and updated equipment based on the level you were at. It was very detailed. It made these repeatable missions a lot more exciting, and it made you much more powerful the more you did. Same with the Skyrim Fighters Guild. Except with that one, you could do all kinds of stuff. You could go to the Solstiem Fighters Guild, or Solitude Fighters Guild, do a bunch of missions, and once you've got to so far in, if you'd actually done these missions extremely well, you would unlock the next Fighters Guild in Markarth long before you should do. Normally you'd have to do, it was possible to just do so badly you couldn't unlock the next one, but there's only a small chance of that. Right? Usually you do something like 10 missions and then the Markarth one would open, but if you did really well and you actually excelled yourself on the missions, it would unlock it sooner. So you could get through all the questland and still have some left to do. By the time you got to Riften, you were in charge of Riften. But that was unique in the fact that each mission had its own story, and each story was linked. And you could play these stories in any order and still come to the same conclusions. So you still get the same storyline. Yeah. And they linked together many of my other mods, especially Darklore Grimoire. And the conclusion was this: the reason why there was so much of these undead werewolf vampire stuff going on Markarth Morphol, was because Sheer Goroth was having a laugh with everybody. And you couldn't do anything about that, so you just had to put up with it and carry on doing the missions. It's a bit more complicated than that, but that's basically it. So I turned a dry old repeatable mission thing into something that was actually giving a storyline with specific faction-specific loot, rewards and promotions. All come from Fighters Guild contracts and the NCR mod, and then what they did in Skyrim. Now, in Solitude, which is one of the mods I'm thinking of releasing that still have that kind of feature that didn't break because of all the patches that Bethesda released, it did it a bit differently. Introduced a load of things that you as an assassin would benefit from the Mokotong stuff, or from if you joined the I keep saying Raven Guard because my 40k plate is stuck in my head. But the settlement, join the Settlements Guard, and usually requirements were based on, I think it was heavy armour, single-handed weapons, and illusion skill. And you have to have minimum of 25 for that. And if you got that, they join. Then you'd get faction-specific loot, faction-specific missions, you know, and stuff like that, and promotions and whatnot. Same with the Mograton, except for the Mograton, you'd go, after you did every mission, you'd go to the temple, you'd pray, right, and then you'd go and get your next mission. And they were very specific. It really immersed you in it. It was really immersive. And they kind of like these repeatable missions kind of led on to much, much better specific single player missions. You know, so this single player mission benefited from the same idea. You know, because you could basically do repeatable missions easy, or you make them single player to tell a story in a specific order, join dots, A, B, C, D, E. And that's what I did. Sometimes it was A, B, C, A, B, D, A, D, D, B, A, and it was all over the place because it was random. And other times it was linked, 1, 2, 3. You know, you do it in order. But anyway, the Mograton missions was really, really good. That's in the Solstiem mission. Last time I played them, it was working fine, but I'm going to test them again, right, when I finish doing Helgen. All being well, time permitting, there'll be 3 mods. So I've got a dry throat. There'll be 3 mods being released soon, hopefully. Return to Helgen, Darklore Grimoire, and Solstiem for Skyrim SE. That's what I plan. I don't have time to edit them, so it'll be a simple case of seeing if they work and then trying to remember what's required to upload them to Bethesda's place. Or failing that, ModDB. But for reasons of ModDB, I might just upload the lot as a single package, but we'll see. But anyway, people have asked, so just understand, it might be coming sooner than you expected. Maybe even before Christmas. We shall see. It's only about a week away, so I'll have to get a boogie on, won't I? Tomorrow, though, I've got a game on. One of these people in my support bubble says he's going to come down for a game. Because I live alone, I'm allowed to have a support bubble and be part of other people's family groups. So there is advantages to that, isn't there? In the meantime, though, I've got £30 to live on until the middle of January because I got screwed over for the rent. Effectively, I'm paying the rent twice because they took money off me for the rent for the last few months. And then they said they'd give me it back at Christmas like they promised. They took it off me again. Isn't that nice? Right? Every company I do business with has so far double charged me, and I had to fight to get my money back. Which is why my Christmas is basically the lights you see behind me. And that's it. That's all my Christmas. I don't even have a tree up. I don't have a tree up. I don't have presents. I'm not giving presents out because I don't have the money for it. I just have those lights. That is my Christmas. Although I have got drinks in. I've got cider in. So I might get rat-assed. Although more than likely I'll end up with my family, probably at my ex's house because she's going down to see my son next day and I can't afford a taxi. So going down to her house one day, sleeping on a spare bed, going down to see my son, maybe staying there and then coming back here the next day, maybe. So yeah. So anyhow, over Christmas, a lot going on. If you don't see anything, it's because I've either got really, really busy or someone's come up with the mods. But that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm doing right now. So, see you soon.